First.
What do you podcast? Do you podcast
What?
do you podcast? Do you podcast
Not at the moment. I pretty much just put it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Extend it. One more. How do I? This is. Oh. So I'm basically just gonna, let you. I'm gonna kick it off. Say say where you're from, and then I'll say what company you represent, and this, that, and the other thing. Do a little introduction, and then you can start with some background on yourself. Welcome to another edition of Indy Spotlight. For this edition of the Indy Spotlight, I am here with Revolution Wrestling World Champion. It's Maru.
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 Yep.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, for the viewers or the listeners, or whatever, who may not know who you are, why not give a little background on yourself, like when you started wrestling and stuff like that?
I started training at the age of 27. I got in here a little late. My first trainer by the name of Brian Walton. I got in at about a good year and a half worth of training with him. And I went all over to other different places for my training, down in Florida and so on. And then I came back to Sioux Falls, and then I started training at IPW, which has some of the best training out there. That's where they really fine-tuned my skills up. They really put it all together, and that's where I started, and that's where I had my very first match, which then led me to then go out and wrestle in other places, and here I am now with RWA.
Just out of curiosity, when did you have your first match? Like, what age?
I had my first match. It's funny because I have the DVD somewhere on here. I was 31 when I had my first match, and it was against Mikey Mallett. October 5th of 2012, my birthday was. So I'm still, I'm only 4 years in. I'm only 4 years in, but I'm having a great time.
That's the main thing. When you were growing up, were you a fan, or?
Yes, actually. I was a huge fan of wrestling, but I never considered wrestling, I never considered pursuing it. But I watched all the way from the Hogan days to the, NWO Attitude Era, all the way up to now. So I definitely am a fan. Very much so.
Was there anyone when you were a kid that you saw on TV that made you say, I want to do that, or that maybe I could do that?
Honestly, like I mentioned earlier, not really, because when I was younger, I was focused more on my amateur wrestling for middle school, and I was trying to, when I was younger, I was definitely trying to, try to get, city and state and so on, and so I was training really hard at that. But what I will say is, the reason why I got into amateur wrestling was because I remember Bob Backlund, and he used to put the crossface chicken wing on people.
I mean, that makes sense, especially you pursuing amateur wrestling. As far as indie wrestling, would you say that most fans aren't fair to indie wrestling? Like, they don't give indie wrestling the time of day because it's not mainstream? Like, WWE?
Actually, right now, I feel like indie wrestling is getting more popular.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that with you have a lot of promotions out there, especially right here in the Midwest area. There's a lot, and it's doing really well. There's always wrestling going on. There's always fans. So I definitely see them supporting, and the fans are absolutely having a great time with the indie product right now.
Would you say that maybe St. Louis was possibly one of the only original territories to, like, sustain its popularity?
St. Louis, which exactly?
That was I should say the Missouri territory, not.
Oh, I know what you mean. I can't think of it. Ohio Valley Wrestling, guys?
No, I mean, like, it from back in the day of, the territories.
Territory, did they keep a hold on them?
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I think that, no, that's a good question. I really don't know. I would actually have to look that up and learn more about that. I think right now, like I said earlier, I think everyone's doing it right now.
Mm-hmm. Since you mentioned a lot of the independent companies in the Midwest are doing very well, what makes RWA different than other independent companies?
What makes RWA different is, I would have to say, mainly one, the booker, Dave Bell. He really listens to ideas, and he is willing to take guys from different promotions and meld them together. So it's one of the most diverse locker rooms so far that I've been in. I can honestly say, you've got guys from all different promotions, and he's melding them together, and it's coming out really good. It's the diversity in the locker room, I would say, makes it a lot different. Yeah, different. Definitely makes it stand out, and it's a lot of fun. We laugh a lot back there. We have a good time. It's just a lot of fun over there in RWA right now.
Well, now you mentioned that you were when you made your way. Was it to RWA that you encountered the best trainers, or?
Best trainers were IPW. Impact Pro Wrestling. That's where my best, that's without a shadow of doubt where my best training came from. That's what gave me the tools. I can take any of the tools. I had the tools, but they're the ones that taught me how to use them. Without a shadow of doubt.
Why not put them over a little bit? Like who was there at the training camp? How.
Well, what's unique about them is it's not just a training camp. They're consistently training. They're always training. And that's what's awesome about those guys over there, the group in Algona and Des Moines. With them, it's an atmosphere of training. You go there, you train, and you've got Phil Picca, you've got Travis Kessler. I mean, you got a whole bunch of people that actually actively engage in helping you get better. And it's more than just what's in the ring. Like
Now I feel it necessary to ask. I noticed that before we started the interview, I took a look at the RWA website, which is, I saw that Bill Eadie and Barry Darso will be appearing or have appeared on RWA. Why not talk a little bit about? Did you work with them or?
I did not work with them. That was Demolition. I did not work with them. The O'Neill twins worked with them. And that was one of RWA's first shows. They were the main event. That was a lot of fun. That place was just packed for that crowd, and those guys really put on. Oh, no, it was also Aaron Corbin. It was Aaron Corbin was in that match, and I think also Christopher St. Michael as well. So that was a lot of fun working with those guys.
Were you able to talk to Axe or Smash when they were there, or?
Yes, I did. I've actually got to talk with Axe twice, and then Smash one time. I really talked with Axe more, and that is just a whole story within itself, really. But I did get a chance to talk with them, and I asked them, to watch my match if they could, and they did. He kind of gave basic feedback, but you have to remember, they've been doing this quite a lot, so for a very long time. So I'm sure I would probably be, you can't even count how many guys are probably coming after me to be watching that.
Now, do you think that more people should take advantage of having people like X and Smash at their shows to pick their brains and stuff like that?
Yes, most definitely. And if you're not doing that, I think that's a little ridiculous. Yes, people should be doing that. I was on a show with Tim Anderson, and I went up to him and I asked, hey, could you watch my match on this show with Al Snow, his name dropped, I'm picking that up. I asked him, I actually wrestled in the main event with him, and learned a lot from them. So you should definitely be asking these guys, how can I improve? And it's not just those guys too. People like Darren Corbin, people like Eugene. I've asked those guys, and you should always be asking, like Ryan Cruz, just those guys that really have been in the business for a long time and they know what they're doing. And they don't have to be a WWE name, as long as, they've got matches under their belt, and they've been around 10 plus years. Ask them. Don't be afraid. Don't have an ego.
Have you worked with Nick Dinsmore?
I have not worked with Nick Dinsmore, but I am currently on his Midwest All Pro Wrestling roster. He has a show coming up May, let me check real quick, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota on May 20th will be his show. This will be the second time I've been there, and it is a lot of fun. We've had Carlito there. That place is fun. That back room is a whole different level too. So that was amazing.
You said you worked with Al Snow. What was that like?
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to work with Al Snow. He was very down to earth, realistic. He read the crowd really well. Actually, funny. It was a really hot day. I forgot where we were at. Perry someplace or something like that. It was an extremely hot day, and the fans were clearly tired. And some of us were like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to put that together. And then Al Snow came in and he was like, how about we just make it simple? We do this because it's like 90 degrees out there. If you notice, they're not saying much. So, and he structured the match to where he brought the light back from, the crowd came back. So it was really cool. It was really cool watching him work and put the
Do you think psychology like that is a lost art today?
The psychology, what again?
Do you think psychology like Al Snow displayed is a lost art today?
And so, I mean, it depends. It depends on the match, honestly. Psychology, is something that I absolutely love. I hate getting in the ring and just throwing out a bunch of moves. You know what I mean? Just like spot monkey. Move. I don't like that. I like to tell a story. I don't think it's a lost art. No. I think it's down to the individual. You know. Some wrestlers try to tell a story more than others do. Really, it's on an individual basis. Me in my matches, I always want to tell a story. So if someone wants to call out like 5 power bombs or not necessarily that, but a bunch of huge stuff, I'm most likely going to kind of add in, hey, why don't we work a body part? What's the story we're telling? If it makes sense, then fine, we'll do it.
Do you think that it may not be that it's a lost art, but more people see how they work on, the wrestling that's on TV, and in most cases they don't value psychology in the major companies?
So, I will agree with you on that. What seems to get the people going the most are the big moves. What seems to get the people going the most is a match where it's just a lot of high spots. A lot of just a lot of high spots, not much psychology, and that does get people going. But there are matches out there, even in the big leagues, that tell a story. You watch Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn; they're telling a story. They're on the big league, So, I think you can get this. It gets just as much of a pop. It's just right now, the flashier style is kind of more popular right now.
I can agree with that. I wanted to ask you, have you worked Ohio Valley Wrestling, or because I know you mentioned that before about Ohio Valley?
I never went down there. I worked. I don't know if it's the champion, Chris Silvio. He was the champion at one point in time. I worked him in a show. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a match where we didn't go over anything. He was in his area, I was over in my area, and it was all called in the ring. So that was very interesting.
Speaking of that made a question pop into my head. For people that believe that nothing is called in the ring anymore, and that everything is move for move scripted out because of the changed era, and maybe they do more of that in the bigger companies and not so much in the indies. What do you say to people when are they surprised that things are still called in the ring, or?
So are you asking me, are other workers surprised when someone wants to call it in the ring?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. I will say that I kind of got a trial by fire. And I will say the first person that I got a trial by fire just listen to me would be the Prophet. He was a gentleman. He was absolutely respectful, very nice, and I was extremely nervous, and I wanted to go over stuff. So I was one of the guys that wanted to go over stuff, and he kind of listened to me, watching that, he was changing things by listening to the crowd on how things were going. There wasn't a strict plan to stay with, and I think that leaves room for making the people happy, as opposed to just going for spot for spot for spot.
Now, though you're relatively, though you've only been wrestling for 4 years, are you one of those people that would visit a training camp or visit a training academy or talk to a new guy if they asked, or visit a training camp and get tell them how this happened to me or that happened to me? What would you say to a new wrestler?
Well, what I say to a new wrestler right now?
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say to a new wrestler is listening, just being quiet and listening to the people that have been there before you. You may have come out of the camp, or you may feel really good, or you may feel like you're on top of the world, but there are guys out there that have been doing this for a long time, and they know how to put together a match, and sometimes it's best to just be quiet and listen to these guys. That is a real thing. Understanding your role as being in the ring is very important, and it helps you. It helps everybody, so that it makes it so that you don't go out there and make both you guys look bad. I think that's important, being quiet, knowing your place. Which is like I do, what I do. I'm quiet and I listen to the guy who's been there longer than me.
I could totally agree with that, and that's been the protocol for the business for a long time. Now, if you're up for it, we got some word association. I say a name, and you tell me what pops into your head.
Alright, go ahead.
Ryan Cruz.
Ryan Cruz?
Yeah.
What pops in my head?
Yeah.
Just our last match. Hilarious. His laughter. That's what comes to my head, laughter.
Malice.
Revenge. Rematch.
Barry Darso.
I'm not going to say it right now, because people watching this that know the background joke behind that, they're all laughing right now. I'll just say with Barry Darso, I got ribbed. I'm continuing being ribbed about that. Something I said a long time ago. Rib. I'll say rib with Barry Darso.
Al Snow. Well, I guess Bill Eadie too, since we said Barry Darso. Bill Eadie.
I don't know.
Since I brought up Bill Eadie, when you spoke to Bill, did you talk about booking or anything like that? Bill Eadie. Axe? Yeah.
No, we never talked about booking or anything like that. I didn't say much to him, honestly. I shook his hand and took a picture. I didn't really say much to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was really busy. There are a lot of guys around him. He was the guy around him. So, yeah.
Since I brought it up, did you talk to Al Snow about booking, or?
No. About me getting booked anywhere?
No, just booking in general, how to, anything of that nature, like backstage stuff, or.
No, I don't focus on anything like that. I just pretty much, I'm booked and then they tell me what they want and I'll do it. That's kind of how I am. I'm not into all that.
Okay. Speaking of being booked, I assume you're booked on the next RWA show?
Yeah.
Why not give that a plug? Put over the card.
Yeah, the next show is in Wasika. It's called Ground Zero. And I know that it's going to be a lot of fun there. You'll have me, the king of Wasika, Maru. There's going to be Chad Moses on the card. You're going to have Morbid Angel on the card. There's just a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. This Wasika crowd, let me tell you something about this Wasika crowd. These people love wrestling. They absolutely have a great time. They allow themselves to just suspend disbelief and have a great time. And there's this section of these amateur wrestlers. There's like an amateur wrestling group of kids. These kids are amazing. They engage. They make it a lot of fun. So I absolutely love wrestling in Wasika. That is one of my favorite places to go to, without a shadow of a doubt.
Now, this is probably something I should have asked sooner, but does RWA just run in Missouri, or do they run all over the Midwest?
Wasika is actually in Minnesota.
Huh.
Yeah, Wasika, Minnesota, yeah. As of right now, it's pretty much in Wasika, and then I think there's a show coming up in Fort Dodge. We had a show in Fort Dodge a little bit ago, and that was crazy. That Morbid Angel, oh man, he tore the show up. Morbid Angel absolutely went in there and just showed that guy can sell out a place. That was a great match to work. Without a shadow of a doubt, that's one of my favorite matches I've ever had. And when we're talking about psychology, Morbid Angel, that guy knows psychology. So I definitely shut up and learned a match and I listened to him.
Now, another thing just popped into my head. I heard from your company that you've held the world title for a year now?
I have held the title for a year. I mean, there's people out there who may claim that they beat me for it, like, a Double and Kane, or maybe a Damon 9, or there might be some video evidence of it on YouTube, but the truth of the matter is, I didn't ever lose it within the company, so without a shadow of a doubt, I am the RWA Heavyweight Champion, and I've never lost my title.
What does it mean to you to be the champion for over a year?
It means a lot. For a shoot, it means that they trust me. It means that Dave and Jim trust me to represent the company. And coming from a guy like Dave Bell, that's an honor. Because that guy, I have learned so much from that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely, when it comes to psychology, he has been one of my, I'm definitely calling him one of my trainers. He has been one of the biggest influences on me in this.
Now, where can the people find you on social media?
They can find me at Mr. Grappler on Twitter. They can find me, Maru on Facebook, The Wrestler. Let me check real quick, because honestly, it is, MaruTheWrestler.com is my website that has my bookings and my shirt, and I have a new shirt coming out, which people are going to love. It's going to be ridiculous. I can't say much about it. It's going to be awesome, though. So,
And plug the RWA show again?
yeah, RWA Ground Zero is going to be in Wasika on the Wasika May 14th in Wasika, Minnesota, Ground Zero. Revolution Wrestling Alliance.
So if you're going to be in the Wasika, Minnesota area on May 14th, pay a visit to the RWA show that will be held there Saturday night in Wasika, Minnesota, where you could see Maru defend his RWA World Heavyweight title. I thank you for joining me for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
And best of luck on Saturday.